Up next, you'll see me speak with Ella Osborne, softball player recovering from a knee injury and how she's back in the game better than ever and what gave her hope to keep going.
Next on Sportsource, I sat down and played a game of throw and catch with all-area midfielder, Norfolk County's own, Roe Bunting.
Coming up on Sportsource, I will be discussing Athens Christian's upcoming basketball season and reminiscing with their head coach, Carlos Strong.
Hello, I'm your host, Bobby Andrews, and welcome to Sportsource. UGA football is now 9-0 after beating number 1 Tennessee to put them at the top of the college football playoff rankings. Ohio State sits behind them at 2, followed by Michigan at 3, and the undefeated TCU Horned Frogs jump into the 4th spot. In addition, both UGA men and women's basketball teams have kicked off their seasons with a win. The men's team defeated Western Carolina and the women's team defeated Coastal Carolina. Now, before we get into too much Georgia basketball, let's transition to some high school sports. While basketball has just started, the softball season has just come to a close, and our reporter Troyce Grant visited Prince Avenue to talk to softball player Ella Osborne, who has aspirations to take her skills to the next level after coming off of career-threatening injury. Troyce?
Thanks, Bobby. I had a great chat with Ella about resilience before returning to the field this season. Prince Avenue softball player Ella Osborne has had dreams of playing at the collegiate level since she was young. However, that dream was almost cut short. Since the age of 8, Ella has suffered from a rare knee disorder.
I went to the doctor and was having some knee pain, and I got an MRI, and they were like, you don't have the cartilage around your outside femur ball. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I was 8. I had no idea what that meant.
At 8 years old, doctors decided against surgery, and Ella continued to play softball until her freshman year when the pain became too much.
And then I came here, and I was working every day, hard, stuff like that, and then my knee it just swelled. And I was like, ooh, there's something wrong. And we went in, we were like, it's probably just a meniscus tear. And then they look at me and they're like, your femur ball has ground away.
The diagnosis required her to sit out the season. Ella says she was devastated.
I was really disheartened because I was like, I'm out for a year. That means I'm going to be a year behind everybody else. Everyone in my grade is going to be getting a year better and being recruited a year longer than me. While I'm here on crutches.
Ella says she thought of quitting the game altogether, but had a change of heart and became determined that her injury would not end her softball career.
And I was just thinking, like, how I was so good before while I was injured. I was thinking, how good am I going to be once I'm fully healed? So, like, every day I'd just be like, I'm going to be fully healed, I'm going to be that much better. Fully healed, that much better. So that's what kept me going, is how good will I be? I am back better than ever, and I'm actually, like, being recruited and stuff like that, so it's really exciting. But, yeah.
And now, with only a year left, Ella's focused on winning her team a state title.
That was our goal this year. Came a little bit short, but next year I want to leave Prince Avenue Christian saying I was on the team that won the first female state title of any sport at the school. That's the goal.
This has been Troyce Grant with Carmichael Sports. With Ella's junior year just coming to a close, her teammates and coaches are happy that she's healthy back on the field playing. Back to you, Bobby.
Thanks, Troyce. We're going to head to a brief break, but stick around because our analysts get into the Matchup of the Week segment. You won't want to miss it. We'll be right back after this break.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Welcome back to Sportsource and welcome to the show our analysts Elle Jacobson and Matt Welsh. Georgia basketball tipped off their season earlier this week against Western Carolina in a contest that ended with a Bulldog victory 68-55. UGA is heading to Wake Forest for a Dogs versus Demon Deacons matchup tonight, but things look a lot different courtside for the Bulldogs, don't they, Elle and Matt?
That's right. Only 2 players from last year's team did not ultimately enter the transfer portal following the season and Tom Crean's release from the program, but some significant players for Georgia did decide to return and play for new head coach Mike White in his first year in Athens. Friday's game is important because it's the first big test for the new era Bulldogs against a team in Wake Forest that last year really dominated at home. A win tonight would be a big step in the right direction for White and his Bulldogs.
We're seeing Cario Oquendo, Braylon Bridges, and Jackson Etter all come back after they had originally entered the transfer portal, which is good for the Bulldogs. White also brought some members of his coaching staff along with him too. Assistant coaches Eric Pastrana and Akeem Miskadeen are new additions for UGA.
So obviously a lot of changes for the Bulldogs, but things look a little different for Wake Forest also. How different does this Wake Forest team look from last year?
Yeah, Wake Forest obviously has coaching consistency with head coach Steve Forbes returning for his 3rd season. However, the Demon Deacons only have 1 returning starter this year in guard Davian Williamson, along with 9 brand new additions to the roster. Williamson averaged 11.8 points per game last year, so he figures to be a big part of Wake's offense moving forward this year as well.
We'll keep an eye on Williamson for sure, but who else should we watch in tonight's matchup?
For Georgia, you have to look at returning starters Oquendo and Bridges, who topped the stats again Monday. But for Wake Forest, you have to keep an eye on Tyree Appleby, who could be an issue for the Bulldogs.
Why do you say that about Appleby?
Appleby, he's a grad transfer from Florida, so he's able to give Wake Forest some insight into Mike White's coaching style. And as a combo guard, he should bring a lot of energy to the backcourt. But you can't forget about Georgia's new additions as well.
Yeah, in Monday's opener against Western Carolina, center Frank Anselm was the Dogs' 2nd leading scorer and utilized his dominant post preference throughout the game. Alabama transfer Jusen Holt gave Georgia a steady spark through the second half as well.
So with all these new additions to both squads, how do you guys see tonight's matchup shaking out?
Bobby, I think the Bulldogs can pull this one out. They're really optimistic about this new era, and I think they seem ready for the test.
We're going to head to break, but when we come back, we'll have our reporter Brandon Bryant with a fun lacrosse package that you won't want to miss.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Welcome back to Sportsource, and as I promised, we've got Brandon with a special feature story about the rapidly growing sport here in the South, lacrosse. Brandon, what do you got?
Thanks, Bobby. With spring season upon us, I had the opportunity to have a game of catch with North Oconee standout, Roe Bunting. And let's just say, I got to meet the least from average 17-year-old kid. In popularity here in the South, but you're somewhat of a pioneer for your local town lacrosse as well. So I want you to tell me the story behind the team called the Oconee Knights.
Yeah, so it started off as a club high school team with only the kids in the whole Athens area. They could only get about 12 to 15 players, and no one really knew what lacrosse was. And then they finally decided that the high school teams around here should start looking into it, so they started the youth program. They had a few younger Oconee Knights teams. I started as a third grader, and my brother was on the, I think, like 8th grade team. And we were the first two Oconee Knights squads. Went out there and got beat up pretty bad.
And fast forward a couple years, now you're playing for Thunder Elite. That's one of the best club teams in the South, arguably one of the best club teams in the country. Can you tell me a little bit about just the cool places you've had to travel as a club lacrosse or even with your school team?
Traveling with the Thunder team has been the craziest because we played Boston, Philadelphia, Vail, Allentown, right outside New York City. Got to see a lot of cool places. Pretty much, if you want to play the good kids, you got to go up north. So
heck yeah, that's what I'm
where
saying.
The competition is.
And speaking of competition, it looks like you compete a little bit in the classroom too. Can you tell me a little bit about your extracurricular activities?
Yeah, so I'm a member of Beta Club, and the past 2 years I've been dual enrolling at University of North Georgia, and then with those credit hours and along with hours this year and my AP credits, I should have like around 30 hours
Heck yeah.
in college when I go next year. So.
That's elite. That's elite right there. Here's Roe Bunting after the bell rings and he gets to go home.
Yep. I'm in the process of getting my certified pilot's license at Dragonfly Aviation in Winder. So I'm pretty sure that the career I want to pursue is probably a pilot. So I'm considering going to Auburn for flying school, and then maybe Georgia and just doing the Air Force all over the city.
Heck yeah. And have you traveled any cool places while flying yet either or not? Yeah.
No, I've just flown around Athens, flew to my house, did a few circles around it.
Heck yeah.
Told my brothers to see if they could see me.
Well, there you have it, folks. Roe Bunting, academic weapon, on the field assassin, and not the worst throw and catch partner, if I do say so myself. In Bogart, Georgia, for the Carmichael Sports Media Institute, I'm Brandon Bryant. I guess if I had the ability to go in the air at will and fly a plane, I'd take that over small-time lacrosse too. Hey, that's Roe Bunting. Back to you, Bobby.
Wow, yeah, Roe Bunting, pretty cool guy and a pretty cool name if I do say so myself. Thanks for that, Brandon. And next up is Eve Hernandez with a story on Carlos Strong, head basketball coach at Athens Christian School. Eve, tell us more.
High school basketball is tipping off in the Athens area next week. I spoke with Athens Christian head coach Carlos Strong about the upcoming season. Now, Carlos Strong is a name I'm sure some of you may recognize. He played for the Bulldogs all 4 years of college back in the 90s, and he's one of the biggest basketball stars come out of Athens, which is his own hometown. Coming out of Cedar Shoals High School, Strong was ranked as a top 5 player in the state his senior year. And as a 6'8" power forward, he got offers from every major college in the country. He could have played at any university he wanted to, but he chose to stay in Athens and play for UGA. He was named an SEC All-Freshman to start his college career, and then it ended with him helping his team reach the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. And the Bulldogs haven't gotten that far in the NCAA tournament since then. Coach Strong told me that year was one that definitely stuck out from his college days. But when he looks back at his UGA career, it's the experiences and the things that he's learned that stick out the most.
The friends I made in college, the experiences you get in college, I mean, it's priceless. You know what I mean? I just, no matter what level these guys go, anybody that want to go to college, I want to really help them because that experience is priceless.
Strong joined the Charlotte Hornets after graduation and spent time on a few other NBA rosters. After a while, he ended up playing in Europe and many countries across the globe for the next 9 years. But all of that time away ultimately led him back to Athens to give back to his community in the form of coaching.
Basketball gave me so much. Me playing at the University of Georgia, NBA in Europe, giving back to my community, where I'm a product of this town, it just feels good. You know, it feels right. I wouldn't have never said I'd be coaching basketball when I'm done, retired, 50 years old. But it just feels good, and I enjoy working with kids. But to give them something they love, they can be a part of right now, that's all I'm trying to do. Yeah, make them better.
Now Strong is in his 4th year coaching this Athens Christian team that he calls his own because each member was a freshman when he was hired. Strong said that it makes it a lot easier to be successful when you are the only coach to influence the team. So at this point, they all understand what type of program he's trying to build, and everything just gels together a lot easier. Athens Christian has been steadily improving each year since Strong took over. Last year, they were just 1 win away from a shot at the region championship, and they had their best record in 6 years. This season, Coach Strong and that team definitely have their eyes on that region title.
I think we're going to take it a game at a time. I think, you know, building up, we go to D.C. We fly to D.C. on December the 2nd, and we're playing in a tournament where Georgetown Prep, all those big schools. I'm excited for this because a lot of my guys haven't even flown before. You know what I mean? So that's that experience. I mean, again, it's about experiences for me. The wins and losses matter, but if I can just reach one of them and help them become a better man, it trumps all the wins.
That trip to D.C. in December for that tournament is a big deal for these players. We'll see later on what else this team will have to look forward to as the season progresses into hopefully the postseason for the Eagles. But it all starts next week when Athens Christian plays at Lake Oconee Academy. Bobby?
Thanks, Eve. After this brief break, we'll be back for my favorite segment of the show, our mascot matchup segment. Don't go anywhere.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers, he connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far. A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that
Welcome back to Sportsource. We are about to get into a fun high school playoff segment, not only discussing the face-off on the field, but also how the mascots would face off in the ring. First up, we have North Oconee versus Sonoraville. Who do you guys got?
North Oconee is ranked 2nd in the state. They dominated their schedule, and tonight the Titans take on the 6-4 Sonoraville Phoenix, who finished 3rd in their region. North Oconee is poised for a deep playoff run with a fast-strike offense and stingy defense. I think the Phoenix have their work cut out for them in Bogart tonight.
I don't know. I think I'm taking the Titans there. Titans, pre-Olympian gods. They're massive. They're strong. They've just got too much size.
But Phoenix, they're birds that came out of fire. I think they could do anything. They're not just a normal bird. You
you
have to.
I mean,
fire
a god
beats earth.
versus a bird there. I don't know where you're really coming
I don't know.
from.
It will certainly be an interesting matchup. Next up, we have Athens Academy versus Fannin County. Who do you got, El?
The 8-2 Athens Academy Spartans finished 2nd in their region this year, with their only loss coming against Fellowship Christian. Quarterback Sam Bush and his offense scored 142 points in the last 3 games. Fannin County comes to Athens tonight, only 1-1 in their last 2 region games. Rebels versus Spartans could be a bit back and forth.
Yeah, but I think we all know how those Spartans went out against their shields on the Persians. I mean, I just think those spears, those shields, it's just too much.
Rebels, their swords look pretty sharp though with the Rebels. I think those swords could give them a run for their money.
Up against the Spartan phalanx, I don't think there's any question there.
I'll
we're
take
taking
the Rebels. Okay.
We're taking the Spartan.
Now let's shift gears over to Prince Avenue versus Mount Vernon. Who do you guys see coming out on top in that matchup?
Yeah, Prince Avenue never dropped below its initial first place ranking this season for good reason. Head coach Greg Vandegrift led the Wolverines to an undefeated record and has his team outscore its region opponents 166-44. Coming off a loss, Mount Vernon sneaks into the playoff as a 4 seed, and as Prince Avenue seeks its 3rd straight state title appearance, the Mustangs could be bruised by this heavyweight contender.
Absolutely not. It's a Mustang versus a weasel-looking creature. Have you seen a Wolverine?
I think you forget that Wolverines are voted unanimously one of the most ferocious creatures on this earth.
Not only do Mustangs have the size, they have the speed. No.
Razor sharp teeth, razor sharp claws.
Mustangs.
Ferocious creatures.
I don't know who unanimously voted the Wolverine, but regardless, lastly, we have Athens Christian up against Darlington. What do we see here, guys?
Yeah, Darlington is 10-0 this season and is a favorite in the ring. Coach Tommy Atha and the Tigers scored just under 400 total points this season, and they're ranked 6th in the state. Athens Christian didn't win a region game. I think the Eagles may have their wings clipped on this long flight to Rome, Georgia.
But that's the thing, they can fly. They can fly out of there, they can stay above the jungle. I'm going to take the birds again.
Oh, you forget that on this show, tigers are the king of the jungle, not lions. So tigers...
According to who?
According to sources.
Unanimously, apparently.
But
according to your mini sources.
Their tigers have too much power.
I'm sticking with you. Okay, you get that one.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, okay. While I do love this talk about mascots, we do need to get into the rest of the show. We'll be right back here on Sportsource.
We scored? Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that? I'm playing with these new face filters. Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine. But I need that back. No. Kevin!
Welcome back to Sportsource. After talking about the high school playoffs, we're going to jump all the way to the NFL. We're going to have a little bit of fun with our team giving their opinions on which NFL teams are making the playoffs and which aren't. Who wants the first pick with the Chicago Bears?
I'm going to take the Bears. Justin Fields has the first half of the TikTok boys, and the division is honestly soft as Charmin minus the Vikings.
Understandable. What about the Bucs?
I like the Bucs. Tom, sorry about the divorce, but congrats on this honor. I got you making the playoffs, coming out of a weak NFC South.
Fair enough. How about the Cowboys?
I will not be taking the Cowboys. They're close, but not close enough. Right now, it's a toss-up between them and the Giants for that championship.
I may take the Giants there, but we'll see. Anyone got Joe Burrow and the Bengals?
100% the Joes have it on lock and will be playoff ready just in time for all of Cincinnati to be chugging chili again.
Anyone rocking with the Dolphins?
I'd pick the Dolphins to win the AFC East over the Jets. They already have a win over the Bills, and Tua clearly will not be stopped.
Tua's been pretty good. How about the Cardinals?
D-Hop's back, but I gotta say, Call of Duty's out, and that might have the biggest impact on this team. Kyler knows he needs to step it up, and if he doesn't, the Cards don't stand a chance.
Yeah, maybe take a break from those sticks, Kyler. Are the Chiefs a lock?
Yes, the Chiefs are #1 and they're staying there.
Who's got the Jets?
I got the Jets. Fasten your seatbelts and stow your tray tables. These are not the Jets of old. They're going to make the playoffs, and they might even win their division.
Alrighty, does anyone think the 7-1 Vikings are legit?
They might be doing good right now, but Kirk Cousins is going to be too distracted by shiny objects to get there.
Does anyone think Carolina can make a run?
Yes, in 2014, the Panthers won their division at 7-8-1. The NFC South is so bad again this year that they might just take it with a losing record.
All right, a lot of interesting takes to digest here for sure, but that about wraps things up here with Sportsource. I'm Bobby Andrews signing off. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app.
Brandon,
one day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too.
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
What did everyone else think?
Tried to play it cool, but inside he knew a girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. And I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and